cleaned up there. So now we're gonna attempt to put this joker back together today. Yeah, I said attempt. There wasn't really much trouble with it actually running. It run just fine. So I probably won't use the entirety of the kit. Just what parts I need, just gaskets I need to get it back together. Its big problem was it was losing prime. Just pulling the needle seat out. We don't need that one. Alright. Just remember, you gotta change that out too. Or it could possibly leak. And it does come in the kit. I do still have the needle in my hand, the new seat in my hand, so we don't need that anymore. Chuck that off over there. Just sits right down on there. And it goes right down in here. Just make sure you keep that washer on there. That's what seals. And I know my screwdriver is not quite big enough to do this, but it's good enough to get it started. And I'm just going to go back and forth in the tabs, in the slots that's in the needle seat. Just to make sure that it's good and tight. And got my new needle there. So I'm going to have to get the spring that holds the needle to the float. And that's the old float. You can see the difference in them, where this one's burnt and this one's not. And there's probably another one of these little clips it's in that kit, but I'm just not going to dig out for it. As long as you don't bend the one you got, it'll work. And I'm just going to hook it through one of them holes. And I missed it altogether, so I'm going to pull this thing back out and set this needle down in the seat. I just dropped it in there real quick. Shouldn't have dropped it that quick. There we go. Now I've got the needle in the seat. So ideally, that float looks about right. Because you don't want it to go all the way up to the top. But yet again, you want it to go far enough up that you fill the bowl up. So you don't run out of fuel when you open up your secondary. Because these were actually very fuel efficient on your first two, your primaries, on them two right there. That right there, you can watch the fuel gauge move. It would do a really good job letting you watch the fuel gauge move there. Okay, I've got two gaskets here. This one here. And this one here. And they're laid out just a little bit different. This one's got a hole here that the one underneath of it does not have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go look at the old gasket to come off. So I'm going to have parts off of it anyway. And I'm just going to match up to the one that is here. So that one's not it. But this one here is. So this is the one we're going to use. And I've got to get all this right here unfinagled. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out and get it set over in the other one here. Okay, don't screw up like I did. I lost that little spring. That little spring goes back down in there for the metering setup. For your primaries. Then we're going to take all this and just drop it down in the hole. It only goes one way, and you got to make for certain that you line up those needles with the jets below. And they will line up, it's just a little tough. And there is a plastic piece here that actually holds the float down. I'll take the accelerator pump out just long enough for me to get this thing turned up where I can see what's going on down in here. And when you get one of those right, the other one wants to come out. So just know you're going to have to fight it a little bit. Keep a little bit of downward pressure while you're wiggling that needle around. And as you can see, it moves now. Then it's got this retainer here. Just push that retainer down in the hole. That should be enough to keep it in there. Then we'll take the accelerator pump, but I've already got the spring in here for it. And these gaskets already have a provision, have a slit right here to put the gasket over the metering assembly. pay close attention to how this rod here comes out when you take it apart, because it's got a hook and go to the to arm in here, and it goes out here to the outside, and that's what works your choke. Just pushing the gasket down on them tabs right now. Then we'll get the top and we'll set her down on here, which I conveniently laid it down here below in the drawer for safekeeping. And it also comes with a couple of needles on it too, for your metering on your secondary jets. And in theory, this thing should just kind of flop down in there. But theory's never actually worked out well for me. Everything's always fault, tooth and nail. So I'm just checking now to make sure everything's lined up like it's supposed to, and it's not. Which now my rear needles are not setting in the jets like they should be. So I'm gonna have to fool with them and get them lined up. So I just shook it back and forth there a little bit, and it finally dropped down. And now we're going to put the screws back in it. And we'll hook the choke linkage up after I get the screws in. That actually goes back here all the way through to the bottom there, so we can't put that in at all. We can, however, put these in here on the sides. Gasket's fighting me just a little bit here on this one. Trying to make sure that I remember to put the washers on. And I've still got the gasket fighting me some. But it ain't liking that at all. I know what I done wrong there. These bolts are too long. Screws are too long, rather. It takes these short, dumpy ones. I remember that now, because them's the same ones I forgot to take out when we tore it down. It takes them short, dumpy screws. That's my fault, guys. Now's the time that I really don't want to start dropping nothing down in there, because I don't want to take it back out and get all that stuff back out of there. And these are a chore to put back down in there. It's not hardly enough room for your finger in there. Yeah. Snug is tight enough. So we'll go ahead and we'll tighten down this one up front. And the two back here on the rear that I have installed right now. That's a Phillips head. It needs to go somewhere else. The Phillips head screws, they come out the bottom. Because it was all slotted screws on top. Why, I have no idea, but whatever. Guy's actually coming to pick this thing up tomorrow morning, so it needs to be done. Alright, so since we're already at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pull the choke linkage off. Put the choke linkage on, rather. You got to pull that screw so you can get that lever to go through. Then it's just as simple as lining all this up. And I think I put the rod in backwards. I did. Which that right there is all it sets in right there, is that little bitty son of a gun. I'd show you all this right here, but be very mindful about how you take yours apart. I may edit this part out, I don't know. Because it's just a fight now to get that dude on there. And I would love to show you everything here, but it's just, I mean, a tight spot and can't really see a whole lot of what's going on. So now I got her on there right. Now she's on there right, and you can see this little piece right here moving up and down when I move that. So now we should have everything right now. Yeah, boy, that's it right there. I don't know if I got my head in the way on that or not, but that's it right there. And I will probably use my impact to put that back in, because she was extremely tight when I took it off. And we're just gonna, I hope that's tight enough. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't even gonna let it ratchet or anything, but so we got that working now. Flip her back upside down. I'm gonna do a little bit of cleaning, a little more cleaning on that right there, and I'll be back with you. Okay, while I was fooling with this thing, it wasn't getting full throttle back here. It does now. But I end up bending that right there, because it's got a lot of wear on it and a lot of wear right here too. So I bent that just so it gets full throttle all the way around. Which a Quadrajet was a kind of a neat concept in itself, because the carburetor itself, it might be a 750, but it only lets you use what the engine itself can pull and vacuum. It's the reason why the top part will open up on its own. It actually takes a draw to pull that open. So, you know, that's another Quadrajet thing. Once again, we're going to go by the old gasket, and that's the gasket the old one suggests. Push it down on those detent. Now, I do know that this needs to be hooked up too. Which, it's got a notch in here, and you've got to line it up just right so that it slides up in there. And that's what goes to the accelerator pump. And it looks like we're using the nearest hole in on the accelerator pump. So that's the one we're going to go with. Of course, it's in bypass right now. It's in lock, so your secondaries are not going to open. They open in. So that little tab here on this side needs to drop down below And all it does is hook it right there on that little rod. And now we're going to take these Phillips screws and take these Phillips and put these Phillips in the bottom of the carburetor. I actually got one, it's a straight head. I have no idea why I got it. But there's the other Phillips. Goes in the bottom there. So you got 1, 2, and 3. And these 2 long ones come in from the top. But these are Phillips on this particular carburetor. Now we'll put these 2 slotted screws in from the top that go to the bottom plate, to the butterflies. I'm trying to use a screwdriver long enough that you can actually see what's going on. And keep my hand out of view. Just slip off there, fall off in there. It's alright. And I'm gonna make sure that they're actually snug, because I don't want them things coming back off. Now on this side here, we got to take these screws back out. Because we got to put another piece in there. This one right here. Which that's a vacuum diaphragm in there. I do Quadrajets every day. Yeah, I messed completely up. That rod goes there to this vacuum actuator. I'm a big dummy, but it's alright. See if that's better. Yeah, that's better. Just gonna tighten that down real well. So I don't want none of this stuff to come loose. That would make for a very bad, very depressing day. Then those 2 screws go right there. I have no idea how it's going to run. I've got nothing to set it on to find out. Well, could throw it on my 66, but that's not the final destination for it. Rochester Quadrajet. No secondary. If I get that to fall, then we'll have her secondary at full throttle. Might need to bend that back just a little bit. That tab right there, I might have bend it back just a hair because I'm getting a little bit over travel. Don't really want all that over travel. Still getting a little bit over travel. I got way too carried away moving that. But we'll get her put back where she's supposed to be at. And maybe we'll get rid of this over travel, which we just done that. Now it's got just a hair bit of under travel, which is still plenty enough air there. You can do a whole lot, move a whole lot of air like that. Anyway, guys, there's your Quadrajet. Appreciate y'all guys watching.